Tonight on NewsWatch, wasteful spending in Washington, how lawmakers are using money for projects that affect them personally.
Plus, remembering September 11th, why some are objecting to an exhibit in the newly opened 9/11 museum.
And CBN News looks at the hidden dangers of antidepressants. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Well, examples of wasteful government spending can be seen all over Washington, especially in what are known as earmarks.
Those are the special projects lawmakers load into the federal budget. As Paul Strand reports, Congress managed to pass more than 100 earmarks for this year alone.
The Pig Book Summary blasts Congress annually for its wasteful pork barrel projects. Thomas Schatz of Citizens Against Government Waste.
There are 109 earmarks costing taxpayers $2.7 billion in fiscal year 2014.
This is how wasteful Congress can be. They're passing spending for agencies that are saying, don't send us the money.
For instance, one special target in this year's Pig Book is the $2.6 million for an economic development agency in Alaska.
The Inspector General of the Denali Commission said the organization shouldn't even exist. President Obama has pointed out that there are 29 other federal programs that do exactly the same thing.
Or there's the $90 million for M1 tanks the Pentagon insists it really doesn't want.
The Secretary of the Army said they don't need to build more M1s. They want to delay this for 4 years and save $3 billion. There are 2,000 M1s sitting idle in the desert in California.
Speaking of the Defense Department, it's getting $866 million to mostly duplicate research on the very same illnesses and diseases as the civilian sector.
Breast cancer research can be done at the National Institutes of Health, and it's done. Billions of dollars. Other health research done at other agencies.
Schatz complains some of the military, along with their congressional benefactors, seem more concerned about their pet environmental projects than defense, no matter what it costs.
Hundreds of dollars per gallon for algae-based fuel is being spent at the Department of Defense. Other members have said that the Secretary of the Navy is not the Secretary of Energy. This money belongs at the Energy Department, if it belongs anywhere.
Schatz is particularly peeved by $15 million extra dollars that went to improve habitat for salmon in the Northwest.
What about the halibut? What about the grouper in Florida? What about the lobsters in Maine? We don't want to give the other species any ideas to come to Washington and get some money.
What's funny is there's a ban on earmarks in Congress right now, but they're still managing to pass spending for the very same projects that were called earmarks in the past. They're just not calling them that right now. Paul Strand, CBN News, Capitol Hill.
And for more on this, we turn now to Macmillan Slobodian. He's the executive director of OurGeneration.org, a group that promotes long-term free market solutions to today's public policy concerns. Macmillan, government waste seems to get worse every year. You favor term limits. How would that help solve this problem?
Well, we have found that over a period of time that members of Congress come to Washington, D.C. to do good for their constituents, but they end up doing well. And part of this is that they get influenced by special interest groups who favor pork projects. And as a result, well, once they stay here long enough, they become sort of cultured to the policy of spending more and more money. And we have a study coming out that shows over a 10-year period of time, most members actually do spend more money the longer they stay here.
So how else does the voting behavior of a member of Congress tend to change over time? You said that they tend to spend more money. What are some other changes?
Well, part of the problem with the earmarks is that oftentimes they're inserted into legislation and members have to vote for those bills to get their special interest project funded. And as a result, they've been called the gateway drug to deficit spending because members of Congress are held and they are almost required to vote for the legislation, even if it is bloated and if it is inefficient for taxpayers across the country.
Our generation also calls for a freeze on federal spending. Break it down for us. What would that do?
Well, we in 2000 2011, we saw the Budget Control Act. We actually did a lot of good. It froze spending at the current levels, and we saw an $80 billion reduction in spending over the next 2 years. Last year, Congress reneged on the Budget Control Act, and as a result, we're seeing spending now go back up. It was about $3.5 trillion in 2011. 2014, it's going to be back up to $3.8 trillion, which translates to about $55,000 for every person, and that's money that we can't afford to spend. We are currently in a $17.5 trillion budget deficit, or deficit in the country, and as a result, we don't have money to borrow and we don't have money to spend like that.
Okay, Macmillan Slobodian of ourgeneration.org. Thanks so much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
The head of Veterans Affairs says he is angry over the possibility of poor quality health care at VA hospitals, including one in Phoenix, Arizona, where many as 40 veterans died while waiting for treatment. Secretary Eric Shinseki was on Capitol Hill today, facing tough questions about those Phoenix treatment delays and a reported cover-up afterward.
Any adverse incident like this makes me mad as hell. I could use stronger language here, Mr. Chairman, but in deference to the committee, I won't.
President Obama has issued a statement saying it's clear the VA needs to do more to ensure quality care for America's veterans.
Women wanting abortions in Missouri may soon have to wait longer. Lawmakers there have passed legislation requiring a 72-hour period before the procedure is done. The state currently has a 24-hour waiting period. Supporters of the measure say the longer waiting period could help reduce abortions. The new 72-hour time frame would not apply in cases of medical emergencies, but would be applied in cases of rape or incest. Missouri's governor has not yet said whether he will sign or veto the measure.
The Federal Communication Commission is moving forward with a plan to end net neutrality. That controversial plan may allow internet service providers to charge websites for higher quality and quicker distribution of content, effectively creating a fast lane and a slow lane for websites. FCC commissioners voted 3-2 to advance the new measure. The FCC will now begin formally collecting public comment on the possible rule change.
A day of remembrance today at Ground Zero. President Obama and other dignitaries gathered with survivors, victims' families, and first responders for the dedication of a museum devoted to telling the story of 9/11. Caitlin Burke reports.
It's a museum that fulfills a promise to never forget.
Here, we tell their story so that generations yet unborn will never forget.
The exhibits here tell the stories of the nearly 3,000 people killed in the terror attacks of 9/11, a place of both silence and the sounds of tragedy.
On September 11th.
I'm on the 35th floor, okay?
Okay.
Just related to command post. We're trying to get up.
The museum reaches 7 stories down, all the way to the bedrock that supported the towers. It's a sacred place, both chilling and heartbreaking.
The museum is a place where you can come to understand 9/11 through the lives of those who were killed and the lives of those who rushed here to help.
The museum houses 10,000 artifacts, stairs that led so many survivors to safety, the cross of steel beams found at Ground Zero, a mangled fire truck.
It's emotional. It's very, very, very emotional.
They have the power to not only honor the dead, but to inspire the living through these exhibits and through this access to this very sacred place.
Among the stories of heroism are snippets about the hijackers, including a brief history of Al-Qaeda. Over the last few weeks, that small part of the museum has come under fire. Islamist activists asking that terms like Islamist extremism and jihadism be removed. The museum turned them down, with the president of the Museum Foundation telling the New York Times it worked hard to be objective. Meanwhile, today's dedication kicking off with a speech from President Obama, along with survivors, victims' families, and first responders. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Crews are fighting to gain control over 9 wildfires in San Diego County. The fires are burning across more than 14 square miles, forcing tens of thousands to evacuate.
Thing is, the winds can shift so quickly, and we had probably 50-mile-an-hour winds, and the vegetation is so dry, and we started wetting stuff down about 2 hours ago, and it just kept coming and coming and coming.
I've been doing this 35 years, and this is some of the most radical firefighting I've seen.
Our resources are doing their best to reduce damage and put the fires out.
Unseasonably high heat, low humidity, and gusty winds have been creating an especially dangerous atmosphere. California's governor has declared San Diego a state of emergency.
Coming up, Boko Haram in Nigeria. More on how the radical group is targeting Christians there.
The American Bible Challenge is back. Premiering May 22nd at 8/7 Central. Jeff Foxworthy is ready to play.
The whole family's gonna love it.
Kurt Franklin's gonna sway.
Are you ready?
And you'll see the Bible in a whole new way.
Don't I look chic? That was impressive.
An all-new season premieres Thursday, May 22nd at 8/7 Central. Only on Game Show Network.
I was having some pains between my shoulder blades. At that point, everything changed. Diagnosis, pancreatic cancer. First, there was prayer. The second is to fight. As soon as we walked through those doors at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, all my anxiety left. The pastoral care here is based on the Bible, based on the Word of God, just as it is at our own church.
When you combine the great medicine with the spiritual resources we have, it provides the patients with something that really can make a difference.
You got a pastor right there on staff praying with patients, whether it be scripture or whether it just be a word of encouragement to say, God's got this.
If you or someone you love is fighting complex or advanced stage cancer, go to cancercenter.com/faith. You'll learn how our treatment results compare to national averages and see a list of insurance plans with which we've worked. Advanced medicine and technology, the warm embrace of the Spirit.
I firmly believe God led me here.
Call or go to cancercenter.com. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits. Appointments available now.
The American Bible Challenge is back. Premiering May 22nd at 8/7 Central. Jeff Foxworthy is ready to play.
The whole family's gonna love it.
Kurt Franklin's gonna sway.
Are you ready?
And you'll see the Bible in a whole new way.
Don't I look chic? That was impressive.
An all-new season premieres Thursday, May 22nd at 8/7 Central. Only on Game Show Network.
Violent protests in Turkey following the deaths of hundreds of miners in a massive explosion earlier this week. At least 282 people are confirmed dead, and 142 people are still unaccounted for. No miners have been brought out alive since early Wednesday. Some unions now have declared strikes to demand better conditions for mine workers. Meanwhile, there is increasing frustration after the prime minister said accidents in Turkey's coal mines are common.
1 month ago today, almost 300 schoolgirls were kidnapped as they slept at their Nigerian boarding school. The kidnapping has raised renewed awareness of a notorious terrorist group. And for more than 5 years now, Boko Haram has committed countless atrocities against Christians and others. Gary Lane has the story of one Nigerian schoolgirl who has overcome a murderous assault of her family.
Deborah Wakai Peters played with some of the 276 schoolgirls kidnapped by the Boko Haram terror group. She says her mother once attended the same school in Chibok, where the girls were kidnapped. Deborah has experienced her own horrors at the hands of Boko Haram. One night just before Christmas 2011, she watched as 3 gunmen entered her house and killed her father after he refused to deny Christ. They also killed her 14-year-old brother Caleb.
So they go ahead and shoot him twice in his chest. So he fall. When he fall, he started like moving. So they go ahead and shoot him again, one in his mouth, and then he fall down and died. So I was in shock. I didn't know what was happening.
Deborah's mother, a former Muslim, was away from home at the time. Shortly after, American children of 9/11 victims invited Deborah to attend a camp in the U.S. While she survived a terror attack, Deborah could not make it through the bureaucracy of the State Department. It twice denied her visa requests.
And the reason she was denied a visa was they said to her, you can't make this stuff up. They said to her, you don't have family ties. So they essentially re-traumatized a girl whose family was exterminated by terrorists.
This is the same department that only recently labeled Boko Haram a terrorist organization. The Hudson Institute's Nina Shea says, until last November, department officials like former Assistant Secretary Johnny Carson rejected the idea that Islam motivates Boko Haram.
I remember I was dumbfounded. It was after an attack on another church in 2012, and he gave a speech before CSIS think tank in town here saying that it had nothing to do with religion.
These are not rebels, they're anarchists, they're jihadists. And when you frame it in the right context, when you have a right problem statement, then you can have an appropriate response to that.
When Deborah talked to CBN News, she made it clear why Boko Haram targeted her family.
In the Quran, they say that any Muslim woman that turned to Christian, her punishment is death. So they did all this because of her.
So you think if your mother had been home, they would have killed her as well?
Yes, because they were targeting her. Even now, they are looking for her. If they see her, they will kill her.
Why did they kill your father?
Because number one, he's a pastor, and the second one, he married my mother. When he married my mother, so he turned my mother to Christian, so they were angry with him.
Now, had your father led other Muslims to Christianity?
Yeah.
Ogebe suggests world leaders take a more aggressive response in order to stop these attacks.
This is a make or break time for Boko Haram. If the world cannot unite and snuff them out now, they now know what will get our attention. And they're going to keep, putting it in our faces.
As for Deborah, she finally received a student visa and now attends school in the U.S. So what does she want people to learn from her story?
They will understand and they will know more and more of what God said, and they will understand what it means to stand strong.
A 15-year-old Nigerian student standing strong in victory over Islamic terrorism and praying that her Christian friends will soon be reunited with their families. Gary Lane, CBN News.
God bless that little girl. And for more of Gary's exclusive reporting, make sure you check out his blog, The Global Lane. It's at our website, cbnnews.com.
A coalition is gathering in the nation's capital. Their goal, make Americans more aware of the dangers of porn. Ahead of a two-day anti-pornography summit, some of the lead speakers held a news conference today. They pointed out if Americans realized just how harmful porn can be, they'd begin to reject it. A neurosurgeon talked about how porn actually changes the brains of users and causes them to be addicted. A researcher pointed out the porn industry deliberately sets out to create addicts. And a feminist pointed out this addiction then changes the way users view sex and women.
It has all the factors of effective teaching. It makes people anonymous. It has role models, it's sexually arousing, it's presented in pictures, and much of it is free.
Boys and men today are catapulted into a never-ending universe of images that celebrate, legitimize, and normalize sexual terrorism against women.
A former pornographer then asked men how they'd feel if their daughter was involved in porn, which has become increasingly violent. He points out every woman in porn is someone's daughter.
Up next, why some medical experts believe antidepressants could be doing more harm than good.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Far too often we hear about deadly attacks or mass shootings at schools, shopping malls, or even military bases.
And the question that usually follows such an event, why? Why did they do it?
As Lori Johnson explains in tonight's Focus Report, some medical experts believe that certain drugs could be behind these attacks.
Most violent outbreaks in recent years have involved guns, and new information indicates there's often another common thread: antidepressants. From Columbine to Aurora, the Naval Yard to Fort Hood, antidepressants have been linked to violence. For decades, psychiatrist Peter Breggin has studied this link.
These drugs are causing agitation, anxiety, insomnia, hostility, aggression, mania.
Antidepressants work on the brain, thereby altering the way people think.
In addition to driving the person with this amphetamine-like effect, the antidepressants kind of do a bit of a lobotomy. You lose your empathy. You lose your caring.
In his book, Medication Madness, Dr. Breggin cites real-life examples of violence that could be blamed on antidepressants.
Of an engineer who was given Paxil probably to help stop smoking, maybe for some tension, certainly not for any mental disorder. And within a couple of doses, he drowned his 2 children and himself in a tub.
But not all doctors view antidepressants so harshly. The Cleveland Clinic's Dr. Karen Jacobs says without antidepressants, many of her patients couldn't even function properly.
They may not be able to work, they may not be able to interact with their peers, they may not be able to interact with their family. They're really isolated and not very productive. And you can turn a patient's life around by being able to find the right medications.
But she also recognizes the risks.
Educating your patient how to use an antidepressant, what to expect, not only the side effects, but some of the dangers, including making sure that you educate either a caregiver or another family member, is really essential to prevent some of the side effects or detrimental kinds of things that you might have read about in the press previously.
The American Psychiatric Association urges doctors to exercise caution when prescribing a certain type of drug, which includes antidepressants, saying their uses could be harmful, especially if patients aren't properly monitored or are taking other drugs. But Dr. Breggin says when it comes to emotional problems, counseling is the better treatment, saying antidepressants can make the situation worse, especially in young people.
The child who is already angry and upset and withdrawn starts to feel agitated, anxious. Hostility starts to increase, aggressivity starts to increase. The kid has no idea it's a drug effect. Even if you told him it was a drug effect, he might not believe you. He'd say, no, I'm just angry at my schoolmates. I'm just angry at my mother and father because it feels like it.
The Food and Drug Administration receives some of its highest number of violence reports from people taking antidepressants.
It happens often with a dose change up or down or starting or stopping a change because that's what jars the brain the most is the change.
So while antidepressants are some of the most popular drugs among doctors and their patients, They can sometimes lead to unexpected and even dangerous results. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Up next, how a thrift store find led to big money for some college kids.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions, just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card, just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Three New York college students recently faced a big decision.
Yeah, their choice, be honest or be rich. After buying an old couch at a thrift store, the students found $40,000 hidden in the cushions.
There's a zipper on the bottom, and he pulls out a plastic bag that's like a box shaped, and we like immediately were like, it's either drugs or money.
So we pulled it out of the couch, right? And we're freaking out. We're like we're shaking. And the first, I swear, this is the first thing that Lara said. I think she was like, block the doors.
Those guys are awesome.
Besides the cash, they also found an envelope with the name of a 91-year-old woman listed. The students say there was never a question in their minds. As soon as they saw the name, they knew they had to track down the rightful owner of the money.
Those guys should star in a reality show.
Yeah.
They were so entertaining.
They were great.
They're like, lock the door.
Great TV there, yeah.
That was awesome.
Wow, $40,000 hidden in the cushion.
Good for them. I hope they got a small bonus tip or something, right? That's going to do it for this edition of Newswatch.
Thanks for watching. Have a good night.